The next session is State-of-the-Art Lecture. The moderator for the first part is Professor Dong-Jin Soo. Professor Soo, please start.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to chair this state-of-the-art lecture. The speaker of this lecture is Professor George K. Lau. I think he is one of the best, most busiest man in the Apostle meeting. He just finished his talk in Sakura Room. He is so famous that I don't need introduction in detail. Anyway, he is the chairman and senior consultant in gastroenterology and hepatology, humanity and health medical group, Hong Kong, SAR, China. He will have a talk on the Apostle initiative to reshape the discipline of hepatology in Asian Pacific region beyond 2024. Professor Lau, please.
Thank you, Professor Su, long-term friends. I still remember we met in Nice when we have the advisory board meeting more than 20 years ago. It's good to see old friends and new friends at the Apostle annual meetings in Kyoto. And congratulations to Professor Sheena and organizing committee. Now, the topic I decided to mention in this talk is how we should reshape the discipline of hepatology in Asian Pacific region beyond 2024. This is my disclosure. Well, in Asia Pacific regions, as a hepatologist, we are seeing a lot of patients with liver diseases, either because it is due to viral hepatitis B, viral hepatitis C, alcohol-related disease, or metabolic dysfunction associated fatty liver disease. From a perspective from a hepatologist practicing in Asia Pacific regions, it's really a dismay to see so many patients comes in with end-stage liver cirrhosis, hepatocellular carcinomas, and acute or chronic liver failure, either due to the either one of the four etiologies or in combinations. In fact, the Asia Pacific Association for the Study of Liver Disease is now driven by four pillars. One is on viral hepatitis eliminations. We have formed the APASO Viral Elimination Task Force. And in these meetings, in conjunction with the WHO and also the coalitions of viral eliminations, we are going to instigate new guidelines to help to break the barriers between the therapies and the public. On the other hand, we also have the maiden working parties headed by the Professor Jacob George to understand the metabolic associated fatty liver disease in our regions. And thirdly, we have the acute or chronic liver failures headed by the Professor S.K. Sarrain, and to understand how we should manage the patients with acute liver failures, how to prevent it, and what is the best management and the various prognostic factors so that we can guide the management of those patients and with the clinical practice guideline. And fourthly, this is today's major emphasis, a whole day of APASO meetings on liver cancers, mainly hepatocellular carcinomas, but also cholangiocarcinoma. So these are the four pillars driving our Asia Pacific Association for the Study of Liver Disease, founded in 1978. Our mission is to promote the latest scientific advancements and educations of hepatology science, exchange or informations and developments of consensus. And to this end, we have published numerous guidelines, clinical practice guidelines to help our fellows, colleagues in Asia Pacific regions to update them with the newest knowledge for the management of patients with liver diseases. And to encourage the practice of medicines and liver diseases and coordinating scientific studies between various scientists and clinicians throughout the regions, as exemplified either by the AHOC meeting that we just conducted under the leadership of Professor Marshall Omatas and myself to collect real-time HCC data in Asia Pacific regions to understand the various factors affecting the overall survivals and the pattern of changes so that we can adopt policy to deal with liver cancers and maybe later on cholangiocarcinomas in the real life. Now, why do we need to reshape the training of hepatology in Asia Pacific region? I think this is very important because we have to make changes in ourselves to adapt to the world, because the purpose of the whole disciplines is to serve our patients with their best interest, with the best knowledge, and it has to be updated. Now, clinical hepatologies, maybe for some of the young fellows over here, so it started 75 years ago with the establishment of AASLD. And this is followed by the European Association for the Study of Livers, and then APASOS in 1978. In the past, the practice is mainly eminence-based. It's based on subjective data and one-size-fits-all approach. So the professor said this is the case, and this is how they should manage, and this will never be changed. Now we are talking about evidence-based with objective data, and the data is more and more dynamics, and we respond to the, we will provide a response-guided personalized medicines to fit in the patients in a very precise manner. And I think this really changed the paradigms of the management practice in clinical hepatology. Now we need to have leaderships in hepatology. Having serving the hepatology communities for over 30 years, I can see we need new leaderships. These, in the past, we emphasize the qualities of remembering things from the textbooks and understand a little bit. And I think this is really low thinking. And with the evolutions and with the improvements of humanity and so on, you should train people with high-level thinking. Because now the data can easily be grasped from the internet, and we do not need to remember all the details, because memory is sometimes not as good as one think. And we should emphasize more on the qualities of being able to analyze the data and to be creative, so that we can train profession with independent thinkings, with the abilities to have reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving, and good in analysis and synthesis. They have to be open-minded, growth-oriented, focused, and resilient. Now, how should we modernize training for our future hepatologists? I'm already more than 60 years old, and I think that I would like to see young hepatologists to lead the world, lead our field. There are 6 areas that I would suggest that we can modernize the training, and that is to accommodate the evolving ethical standard. This is not a light issue, so we have to have a good ethical standard before we can train anybody. We need improvements in the training in imaging and endoscopy. We need public health in terms of medical statistics. We need training in the conduct of clinical research and also laboratory skills and the rationale, so that we can understand what the paper is trying to tell you, and whether this is true or not, and how you can apply to our patients. And most importantly, the art to work with other humans and coming artificial intelligence. People think that artificial intelligence might be something fancy, but we shouldn't think so. Taking the momentums it is bringing into our daily livings in the future, it will be something like the inventions of electricity 200 years ago, which changed every single walks of life. And I think that we have to anticipate the presence of artificial intelligence, so that our youngsters can work with and to be and can make a good living to serve as a hepatologist. Otherwise, all their training will be wasted. Ethics and humanity, this is of utmost importance before anything can develop. And the ethics constitute values, research, moral principles, ethic practice, and rules of conduct. The 4 main ethical principles is being laid here: beneficence, non-malfeasance, autonomy, and justice-informed consent. We have to respect people in simple terms. We have to respect our predecessor, our seniors who has contributed to the field, our colleagues who will be working with us, and the patients and yourself. And I think this is the essential message, but it is easy to say, very difficult to tell. And being in the field of 30 years, I have seen so many people disregard their predecessor, disregards colleagues, disregards patients, and disrespect themselves. So as it is most effective, innovations is inherently the human endeavor. Successful innovations happens when people with skills, experience, and capabilities come together to understand or predict and then address other people's challenge. So that we need to have the heart, especially the leaderships, to provide and to have this quality for us to propagate the disciplines of hepatology. Now, we in 2024 and beyond, we will see a major advancements in the wide availability of imaging and endoscopic techniques. 30 years ago, when I started the discipline of hepatology, we don't have CT scan, ultrasound is hardly available, and we don't have this data make easy to us to guide our clinical management. And endoscopic techniques was at its early infancy, and we still we still use rigid sigmoidoscopies, for instance, and also rigid upper endoscopies that you've never heard of. Now we use fiber optics, flexibles, endoscopies with good recordings, real times, good video screenings, and so on. And I think this is essential that our young hepatologists to be equipped to with the skills in imaging in the reasonable manner. They should be able to do ultrasound of the hepatobiliary system by themselves and not relying on anybody else as part of the physical examinations, not just to palpate the abdomen for hepatomegaly or to see whether there is any splenomegaly, but really to do an ultrasound to demonstrate the presence of ascites, cirrhosis, hepatomegaly, and space-occupying lesions in the livers, and whether there's any splenomegaly. And without the skills of ultrasound-guided liver biopsy and ascitic fluid tapping, which really increase the safety of doing these procedures in our patients. The non-invasive FibroScan and FibroTouch is widely used, and this is very important that we understand how to use it properly. What is the protocol? Say, for instance, these patients should have a body mass index measures. We have to choose the right probe, and how are we going to interpret the results and understand the degree of liver fibrosis, because it is one of the most important prognostic factor for chronic liver diseases and the presence or absence of steatosis. Now we have various measures, and the metabolic associated fatty liver disease is getting more and more important. CT scan, MRI, and PET is almost a essence. In the old days, it's very difficult for us to get a CT scan. I remember when I started to work at Cremary Hospitals as a house officer, we are so happy to have a two-head CT scan. Two-head. It takes a long time, and it's so machinery to get a CT scan. And now the CT scan is so fast, and with the multiple heads, it's dynamics, and we have volume capture, the speed, and we have contrast, and we have different phases. And it is important that at least we will be able to have our hepatologists to be able to read the image through the DICOM viewers, because the data will be so much in split seconds. It is impossible for them to be transformed into films. And in fact, the films are so little of the total amount of data collected in a very short period of time. I think that one being able to use DICOM systems would allow us to have access to the data, and so that we will suit our purpose and to guide our treatment to our patients. Endoscopic skills is important because upper endoscopy is now easily done and flexible, especially it's flexible, the fiber optics with big screens and also with good recording, which is important so that we can share the information with others and to make sure that we are talking about the same thing, either diagnostic or therapeutics. And ERCPs is also important for diagnostic and therapeutic reasons. But that might be tricky because the technically is a little bit more difficult, but it is important to understand at least how it could be done and how we are going to interpret the results. Now, having said that, the public health is also of utmost importance. This is exemplified by the current problems we are facing with viral hepatitis. The WHO set the targets of eliminations of viral hepatitis by 2030, with the figures of 90% reductions of surface antigens and 65% reductions of viral hepatitis-related mortality, that is mainly hepatocellular carcinoma. Well, as you can see here, that elimination targets remains out of reach for many countries under the current frameworks. In fact, the liver cancer is not decreasing at all. If not, it is increasing by itself. So the 65% reduction is almost impossible. So one of the reasons, as you alluded by our recent paper with Dr. Chen Jing here, she is a public health workers, is that there is a core of urgent needs to bridge the gap between science and we have and the patients with our hepatitis, because now we have all the measures to detect viral hepatitis easily, have that identified, and we can apply antiviral, which has been shown by multiple studies to be able to reduce significantly the mortality and morbidity related to viral hepatitis, and that is hepatocellular carcinoma in a sense, and also end-stage liver cirrhosis and acute chronic liver failure. But then, and also for those chronic carriers, so we can have very effective low-cost surveillance. But somehow it has a lot of the patients were still left undiagnosed, therefore not treated, and they are neglected. And this really brings the problems of how we are going to bridge the gap between science and patients, and it is a huge problem. So it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to be done. And we need a public health expertise to really comes in to change the policies and the behavior of our fellow citizens to bring this down. So I think that to understand some rationales and how we can apply the public health policies to change and to close the gap would be one of the challenges we are going to face in the next 10 or even 20 years. Now, conduct of clinical studies is very, very important because many a times we want to solve a problem for our patients with certain measures, and it is important that we define the questions and then design the studies, and then we collect the data accordingly. It could be clinical, laboratory imaging, and then we have proper analysis and to answer the questions. Hopefully, we can bring an impact to the clinical practice to change the natural histories or the negative natural history of these patients, so that they will not suffer from the natural cause of the disease. Now, one of the most important elements of the conduct of the studies is, with my years of practice in clinical research, is really data integrity. It is such a dismay to see lots of papers published counter-interacting and even clinical trials with terrible results. And I think that it's important that we really emphasize on data integrity, because poor data results in a waste of resources and efforts and puts the subjects and ultimately the patients at risk to harm. Now, data integrity it has to be accurate and it should be traceable, and it entails the process of collections, recording, storage, and reporting. And I understand a lot of the hepatologists currently trained are never involved in any of the clinical studies, and I think that they should. At least to have some experience, and they should understand the importance of data integrity. And I can see a lot of big names, they publish data with lots of inconsistency, and just to make the world very confusing and complicated. Data integrity can be compromised in various ways. It could be malicious preparators, that's because they want promotion, citations, resources, but they are not really doing any good to the people and with humanity. It could be just human mistakes or naivety because of the poor trainings or technical errors. They do not understand what data means and what they are measuring. Recently, I reviewed a paper talking about the importance of fatty livers, and surprisingly, they do not even measure the body mass index of these patients, and they think they are the premium liver center. I just don't understand how they can come to such a conclusions without measuring body weight. They can assess how fat the patient is. They put up a lot of data, a lot of statistics with a lot of supplementary, and usually this really complicate the pictures. Data integrity as a reason examples. I have reviewed a few papers which really make me very, very disappointing and go into shock. good at alterations of the source laboratory documents, creating false laboratory source document, which was not done on the patient specified in a specified time. They just write it down, and with inaccurate reporting, or I would say falsifications of the time to event. And I think this is very important. Something happens at a specific time, you cannot move the time. It happens in the 2024 in March, you cannot change it to 2028 in March. But it is such a easy task to do because you have the event, but the event is not reported. Or they could expand the width of the time to event so that it could measure something happens within 3 years or within a day to 1 week to 1 month, 1 year, or 1 decade, because this would affect the statistics to the time to event analysis or the survival curve. So, well, in fact, everybody's in this room might be dead in 200 years, but that does not mean anything. So I think that this is essential problems in some of the clinical studies. How to recognize this type of academic malfeasance? These people usually have, for the word for the students and the young fellows, these people usually have high citation with numerous publications. But when you look at the papers, they have multiple inconsistent data because they have to manipulate the statistics to make it a p-values and comes to a conclusions they want. And but there's one essential phenomenon. They made no impact to clinical practice. It's just a paper with high citations, with bombardment of new findings. And I want to quote what Albert Einstein tried to educate us. The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing. So I think we need to stand up from time to time and really criticize what's going on, even if they are big people and with big papers. And I think it's going nowhere. Cutting-edge laboratory techniques is of utmost importance because nowadays we have all forms of machineries to measure things that is very difficult for us to do. Say, for instance, we have HPV DNA quantifications by real-time PCR. In my days, we do Doppler hybridization, which is only semi-quantitation, so give us little information. And we can have sequencing data available in 2 hours times. And in the old days, when I was in Stanford, we do Sanger sequencing. It takes days, and the result is not, sometimes is pretty inconclusive. Now we have data from the NGS to give the genomics, RNA sequencing to give the transcriptomics, the data, microarray for proteomics, mass specs for the metabolics, and also the microtechnologies and the microfluidities. So we have more solid data, consistent data that need to understand, but we need to know what we are doing because we are going to have more and more data, a massive amount of data, but in a sense, we want to answer questions. Now, some of the applications of these innovative laboratory techniques is exemplified here in Marford's subtype classification to redefine therapy based on genetics and gene expressions. Liver cancer, we want to do subtypes, disease-based tumor and stroma biology, end-stage liver cirrhosis, the matrix degradation pathway, the microanatomy features, immune disease with the single-cell methodologies, and also pediatrics and genetic liver disease with the widespread genetic testing. Artificial intelligence is something that we have to face in the future, especially for the youngcomers into the field, in whatever field. And I think liver disease is only one of the fields that we will face the challenge of artificial intelligence. One example of artificial intelligence is about radiology. So we rely so heavily on imaging, as I have just mentioned. In the old days, biopsy is the gold standard, say, for instance, for liver diagnosis and to determine the degree of liver cirrhosis. Now, the evidence is suggesting that AI-based ultrasound can perform in such cases of severity on the marker grading of liver fibrosis and determining malignancy of the focal lesions, predicting the MVIs of HCC and the curative effects of TACs and prognosis of thermal ablation. So New data is coming in. The artificial intelligence is more than just a computer. It can learn by itself with deep learning, and they would come up with an answers and suggestions that we are not available in the current scenario. And also we can use artificial intelligence to compile the data from multiple imaging data with fibroscan, MRI, CT, MR, the PET scans in a sequential manner so that we can apply these data with analysis and without thinking to help our patients. Deep learning is also very important for the understanding on clinical histopathology with the rapid advancements in the field of digital pathology as they make it possible to predict prognostic molecular biomarkers from complex tumor microenvironments. Deep learning histopathology demonstrate efficacies in predicting tumors or even unknown origins of risk of recurrence and future oncogene mutations. And this in combinations with the various other diagnostic modalities would further enhance our capability to treat those patients in a more precise manner in the best therapeutic windows and bring the best managements to our patient with what we have. This shows the algorithms of one of the suggestions that could be used. We talk about omics based on the laboratory techniques to give precise data in terms of quantitations, and AIs can help to gather and grab also these information, clinical, laboratory, and molecular, and pathology and imaging to allow us to place the best treatments on these patients and how we are going to manage those patients. This is the cartoons that I think would be useful from current medicines, use of these computers, artificial intelligence to precision medicines, and then to personalized medicines in a more precise way. One of the examples today's is a day of liver cancer by APASO, and we have to talk about how AI could have supported liver oncology. And we know that there are lots of systemic therapies or various other forms of therapy, ablation surgery, TAC for liver cancers, and how are we going to apply these therapies, and how are we going to switch and to prevent the occurrence of side effects and improve and give the best efficacy to the patients, and AI would be of a great help. Now, one of the other areas we are going to face is how drug discoveries could be enhanced by artificial intelligence in the predictions of models such as the proteomic space, the graphs of the gene disease associations, and also the de novo designs using the generative model structure-based drug design so that we can be more precise. We know the molecules, the genetic basis to mutations, and we can design based on the proteomics analysis how we can have a molecules that would be more precise in dealing with the mutation which bring about the disease, or it could be multi-genetics, how we're going to resolve the problems. And the drug discoveries is costly. In the past, it takes years to develop, but with the prediction models bring about, say for instance, by the Alpha software, we will be able to greatly speed up the process of having new drugs made available, maybe even tailor-made to a very rare disease to alleviate the human suffering. Data integrity, as I mentioned, in the conduct of clinical studies is of paramount importance. Humans are evil. Sometimes they want to have shortcuts and to make them a lot of money in a very short period of time. But with artificial intelligence, data integrity could be easily checked, and this could result. This is good for us to eliminate some of the bad thinking and to put back the integrity and humanity to the practice of hepatologies so that we have more solid development. Now, so in summary, I think it is time to reshape the discipline of hepatologists to update knowledge and skills, which allows us to enhance and advance our clinical management to our patients, and the applications of AI to guide screening, diagnosis, and treatment of patients with liver diseases should be enhanced. It is of great importance to integrate the art of humanities into medical practice to reshape and modernize professional hepatology disciplines with emphasis on empathy, communications, and teamwork, and respect to our various humble colleagues who works hard with a good heart and good skills. The greatest scientists are artists as well, science and art. Who is at a higher level? To me, I think art is more important because after all, we are all humans and we have to be authentic and we have to be accountable and we have to bear the credibility. And this is our honor. And that's why we are here for this APASO meeting and with all my colleagues whom I respect wholeheartedly to build up the society for Asia Pacific and to serve the patients with liver disease with their best interests being considered. This is my acknowledgments to all my collaborators who have been supporting our work for the past 2 decades. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Lau, for your very comprehensive presentation. Any questions or comments from the floor? Okay, just a short question, please.
A short question. I'm Dr. Tateshi from University of Tokyo. So congratulations
well.
for your very profound, comprehensive, and very thoughtful presentation. I was so impressed to hear the comprehensiveness you shown in your lecture. You shortly touch upon the research integrity and the data integrity. This is actually a big problem also in Japan. Do you have any specific strategy to control this kind of integrity in your institution or in your country?
It's very difficult because they want to cover up, and sometimes it's very, very difficult. They give you a lot of supplements. We just review a very important papers published in the New England Journal of Medicine. And in fact, we find it is unbelievable because the phase 2A and phase 2B, the data is inconsistent on the dose dependency. Very simple, but they have pages of supplements with numerous figures. So it's very difficult to decide. It takes us 1 year to understand and to find it out. But with artificial intelligence, so you can see pattern. And I think that they would spot it right away. Going through the human brain is sometimes difficult, and especially when they are big pharma, big papers is even more difficult because people just frustrated. I mean, how can you read all the details with all the statistical terms and skewing and so on and confidence intervals? So you just drive you crazy. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, nothing will happen because it's just a paper. This is why I think the easiest manners to recognize this type of behavior is they have a large number of papers, but they are, when you look at these inconsistent data, and one paper is talking about, and there are lots of data, and then nothing will happen in real life clinical practice. But artificial intelligence will be able to decipher this rapidly. So because it is inconsistent, you just can't have somebody called Mr. Wu, and then the other day is called Mrs. Wu. I mean, then it's very difficult because you don't know them. And there are also facial recognitions and so on. This all artificial intelligence comes in, and the pattern recognitions. And there are things that are amazing in histopathology. You can even digital pathology. They can the computer artificial intelligence can recognize molecular alterations by looking at the pattern. And it is impossible for a pathologist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this will be a great help. At least we have some measures so that people will be afraid of doing this. I think this prevention is always the best way to deal with this. So at least they know that they will be caught easily, not what is happening right now. Yeah, that's what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank Professor Lau, and I thank all the audience for their active participation. I will close this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Lau and Professor Su. Now we will have the second part of this session. The moderator is Professor Ryosuke Tateshi. Professor Tateshi, please start when you're ready.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to start this State of Art lecture. The presenter, the name of the presenter is Ryuji Hamamoto from the National Cancer Center Research Institute, Tokyo, Japan. And I would like to briefly show his curriculum vitae. He, after conducting cancer research in Institute of Medical Science, the University of Tokyo and the Department of Oncology, University of Cambridge, UK, Dr. Hamamoto joined the Department of Medicine in the University of Chicago and Associate Professor in 2020. Since 2016, Dr. Hamamoto has been a Division Chief of the National Cancer Center Research Institute. He is also a professor of NCC Medical Science, Tokyo Medical and Dental University. And he will talk about could you show the AI research for clinical application from research planning to regulatory approval. Please start your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Professor Tateishi. Today, I'd like to introduce entitled AI research for clinical application from research planning to regulatory approval. Okay, this is my show disclosure information. So we started the new project, the development of the integrated cancer medical system using artificial intelligence in 2016. In this case, we National Cancer Center Japan possesses a huge large number of the data relevant to cancer, and using this medical data, including the omics information, clinical information, and medical images, pathological report, radiology report, and PDX model. We firstly built the NCC Integrated Cancer Medical Information Databases. And using artificial intelligence technology, we are developing a new cancer diagnosis system, and new drug design system, and support system for personal medicine. And since 2018, the PRISM project development of artificial intelligence accelerating drug discovery was launched. And from last year, the Bridge project, medical digital twin, has just started. These projects are supported by Cabinet Office Government of Japan. So this is the overview of medical artificial intelligence projects in National Cancer Center Japan Tsukiji campus. So in particular, the National Cancer Center Japan, we have a lot of the department and division, and most of the National Cancer Center hospitals, department, and division participated in this project. And we have also the several academic collaborators like Riken Center for Advanced Intelligence Project and the University of Tokyo. And the important is that we always developing the artificial intelligence-based medical devices, such as collaborators in companies are very important, and we have several companies, including the Preferred Networks and NEC Corporation and Fujifilm Corporation. So additionally, I think one of the important points to conduct medical artificial intelligence is the construction of an integrated database system for efficient collection of clinical data. This is collaborating with the Division of Medical Informatics in National Cancer Center Hospital. So using these kind of systems, we could get the structured data without disturbing the daily medical works. And I'd like to show some achievement of this project. The first is the development of a real-time endoscopic diagnosis support system using artificial intelligence to prevent oversight in colonoscopy. Since neoplastic colorectal polyps are precancerous regions, detecting and removing them during a colonoscopy can inhibit their progression to colorectal cancer. Physicians detect polyps by macroscopic observation, but the polyps are easy to overlook if they are small or their shape is not clearly defined. So, to address this issue, we developed the real-time endoscopic diagnosis support system using artificial intelligence. The important point is, anyway, the real-time feedback. And in this case, we use the supervised deep learning for trainings. Approximately 12,000 regions and approximately 250 images are used. And this is the deep learning algorithms, the feature extraction steps and identification, the typical convolution neural networks, convolution layer, pooling layer, and fully connected layer. And we developed and announced the world's first AI-based real-time colonoscopy diagnosis support system in 2017. We announced this from the National Cancer Center, Japan. But this is the academic result, and the next step is anyway, we would like to use this kind of system in the clinical settings. So that's the reason we started the consultation with the PMDA, like the Japanese FDA. And this is real-time video images using our artificial intelligence system. The artificial intelligence quickly identifies the regions like this. We also conducted the clinical performance evaluation study called the Design AI-01 study. The verification hypothesis is that this AI system detects colorectal, pancreatic regions, and early colorectal cancer, as well as skilled colonoscopists. And we conducted both AI performance evaluation test and also physician reading examination. And that's a very, very, very long way. But finally, we got acceptance by PMDA as a control medical device, class 2 in 2020, and also meet the requirement of the CE mark, a standard for medical device product in Europe. The product is currently being marketed by NEC in both Japan and Europe. And this monitor is an ordinary monitor, and this is the monitor identified by our artificial intelligence system. Additionally, and we also applied these systems for detection of bright S4 gas. And this is a device that uses AI to analyze endoscopic images to detect tumors in bright S4 gas, and is the first product in the world to conform to the CE mark. And also this software based on this technology is now clinically available in Europe. As a summary and future prospective of this endoscopy AI project, an AI system that can detect typical and atypical cases by training from endoscopic images of more than 10,000 early stage colorectal cancer and precancer regions accumulated at National Cancer Center Hospital. And this AI system can be connected to the endoscopes from the three major endoscope manufacturers, Olympus, Fujifilm, and the Pentax. And this is vendor neutral. This is also a very important point. And we will increase the accuracy of the artificial intelligence by having it trained to recognize flat or depressed regions that are difficult for humans to recognize. And it also aims to address the qualitative diagnosis of colorectal regions and the prediction of the lymph node metastasis of colorectal cancer. In addition, recently, multimodal analysis is quite important in this field. So by linking CT images, pathological images, molecular biological information, and other information, we aim to develop a multimodality real-time endoscopic image diagnosis support system that is more highly useful, and we further promote development and research towards the realization of advanced and personal medicine and remote diagnosis. The next topic is related to radiological images. So this is mainly conducted by Dr. Kobayashi. He is a radiological oncologist. So to conduct medical AI research, we need both knowledge, both means the clinical knowledge and also engineering knowledge. But as you may know, the current AI progress is very quick, and the physician sometimes difficult to learn the current advances technology of the artificial intelligence. So that's the reason even the very the busy physicians can AI development is our purpose, and to develop the support system for medical AI. So in this case, we collaborating with the Fujifilm company. The Fujifilm company is famous for PAX system. The marketing share of the PAX by Fujifilm is over 60 or 70% in Japan, and the most sharing PAX sharing company all over the world. That is now we are collaborating. And we finally successful to make a product called the Synapse Creative Space and AI Developer Support Platform in Patient Society, announced on April 5 in 2022. This system includes data transfer, anonymization, annotation, and setting up learning models and training and application of AI. Anyway, we provide an all-in-one platform to support AI development, and this is available now in Japan. Additionally, last month, we developed AI technology to precisely extract suspected glioma areas from MRI images and commercialized after obtaining approval under the Pharmaceutical Affairs Law. I briefly explained, and Fujifilm and the National Cancer Center Japan have developed an AI technology to precisely extract suspected glioma areas from MRI images. And this technology was developed by the training AI on data generated by Fujifilm's Synapse Creative Space, just as I explained, and which efficiently performs the annotation work to extract glioma areas from head MRI images. The volume of the extracted area can be measured, and this technology is expected to be useful in the future for early detection of glioma, improvement of diagnostic accuracy, and optimization of treatment of the plans such as radiotherapy and surgery by enabling the pre-treatment image evaluation of the glioma with higher accuracy. And the next project is collaborating with the skin tumor department in National Cancer Center hospitals. So we used 120,000 dermatology photo data. The detail is here. And also conducted the supervised learning deep neural networks learning. And we conducted the accuracy test of this AI model, and you can see here the AI's accuracy is superior to even dermatologists. But please be careful. This is just the still images. So in some cases, and mass media says that artificial intelligence is superior to human, but this is a nice nonsense discussion to me. Just for the still images, because artificial intelligence can learn a huge number of images. That is, in some cases, AI possesses superior ability compared to human physician, but which means doesn't mean the artificial intelligence is superior to human physician. This is a very, very important point. I think that at this moment, artificial intelligence is supportive for physicians. But we can use this kind of systems for the prevention of the cancer and the improvement of the prognosis. So in this case, inside of the hospital, we can conduct the pathological diagnosis as soon as possible in the case of skin cancer. That's the reason we hope to use this kind of systems outside the hospital. This is just our aim, not still we are struggling to establish this system. This is just the future plan and the overview of the envisioned system. But in the future, using a cloud-based service and we use this kind of smartphones camera and check the condition of the skin. And if the condition is not so good, and there's a possibility of the malignancy, so and quickly go to the early diagnosis and check the dermatologist is our future plan. And technically, it's possible, but still we have some regulation issues based on the Japanese law. That means that the products currently being promoted is a cooperation with the pharmaceutical and consumer health bureau of Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, the Kosei Rodosho in Japanese. And next is the development of the AI-based future cardiac ultrasound screening system. And we are developing the fundamental technology for fetal cardiac ultrasound screening system, the development of technology to detect the abnormalities in the fetal heart structure, and the development of a method for displaying the detection results improves the efficiency of diagnosis like this. And our purpose is we use this kind of system in the clinical settings. We always compare the ability of artificial intelligence and human physicians. This is a result of that evaluation of the AI performance in fetal cardiac ultra screening between artificial intelligence and human physicians. In the case of the human physicians, there are three different groups. One is the expert, and fellow and resident. So green, this curve shows the human physicians expert cases, and this is the fellow cases, and this is the resident cases. As you can see, the ability of the physician is significantly different based on the experience. This is, I think, the one of the serious issues in the medical field. That is to prevent this kind of the biases based on the physicians, we had better use the artificial intelligence system. Finally, we get the result. Our experience levels of the physicians show the improvement in performance, and the degree of the improvement depends on the expertise and experience. So I'd like to show the summary, the future strategies. So firstly, improve and demonstrate screening accuracy, expand the scope of the testing by acquiring a large volume of additional future ultrasound images and having AI run from them, and realize the world's first social implementation, early clinical application of future cardiac ultrasound screening using artificial intelligence in various forms, including partnerships with the ultra equipment manufacturers. Now, we just applied this device to get the acceptance by PMDA. So, ideally, within 2 years, we'd like to apply this kind of system in a clinical setting. And as for the future goals, firstly, the goal is to make it a standard feature of fetal ultrasound screening, which is routinely performed as a prenatal test, and secondly, the training of examiners and the realization of a remote diagnosis through the cloud computing will significantly reduce medical disparities between the regions, and through the development of perinatal and neonatal care, which suffers from a shortage of the physicians, further safe pregnancies and deliveries will be realized. Okay, this is the final project to show, and early detection of atrial fibrillation using AI and remote technology called the stroke prevention by early detection of AF in SIMS, SPAFS project. This is a joint project with Shizuoka City Shimizu Hospital, Shimizu City Medical Association, and Tokyo Medical and Dental, one of the academic members in Tokyo Medical and Dental University. So in this case, the clinical affiliated with the Shimizu City Medical Association and Shimizu Medical Association medical checkup centers, there's a huge number of data and analyzed by artificial intelligence we develop, and check the condition of the citizens in Shizuoka City. So there are some important point, and patient undergoing the physician examinations at the Siemens Medical Association Health Examination Center who wish to participate in the study are asked to undergo a regular 12-lead electrocardiogram examination, and the presence of the hidden atrial fibrillation is predicted from the non-seizure electrocardiogram using AI analysis we developed. And the pulse and heart rate are then remotely monitored using wearable devices such as wristband pulse wave sensor and one-channel ECG monitor, and atrial fibrillation is detected using automatic detection by artificial intelligence. And once atrial fibrillation is detected, the need for treatment is evaluation, and stroke prevention therapy is provided. And fortunately, as a result, we were able to detect the hidden atrial fibrillation in 3 patients which cannot be diagnosed before, and start treatment to prevent cerebral infractions. This is the June 6th, 2022. The updated data is here. Of the 336 patients, 350 total participants for whom analysis had been complete at the end of the January 2023, and 9 were found to have atrial fibrillation. So our data shows that artificial intelligence is very useful in clinical setting. But today I don't have the entire, but also there are several issues to overcome. That reason, I think one of the important things is human physicians and artificial intelligence is like partners, and both human physicians and artificial intelligence should learn. And also the some medical checkup at based on the both ability. One of the bad tendency is only artificial intelligence for medical treatment is very, very dangerous. I think that this kind of is not good for the humans' health. So that's the reason still we need to consider how to use this kind of artificial systems in the clinical setting. Okay, this is the last slide, and I would like to show my greatest gratitude to all members of participate in this project, and in particular the National Cancer Center Japan. There are a lot of the very smart and and the kind physicians in National Cancer Center Hospital. So thank you for participating in this project. Okay, that's all my presentation.
Dr. Hamamoto, thank you for your very comprehensive lecture covering from the endoscopy to skin tumor to focal cardiac ultrasonography to finally atrial fibrillation. I was so impressed to hear the such kind of advance in the AI technology. So this this lecture, we can receive some questions from the audience. Do you have any questions? Yes, you in the first part of your presentation, you explained how the AI system, like including the deep learning or convolutional network system. So there are so many emerging new technologies like LLM or in the field of AI, and it's quite difficult to catch up for me. But what kind of technology are you now interested in to apply to the clinical setting?
Yeah, thank you for your important question. So, firstly, we need to consider the two different ways. One is basic research, and the second is clinical application. So, in the case of clinical application, and robustness is quite important, as you may know. So that's the reason. So, in such a case, very consuming technology is required. So that's the reason if we focus on the clinical application in such a way that maybe traditional, for example, the convolutional neural network or the very classical technique is suitable because we have a lot of knowledge and data relevant to such kind of technology. And the other side is basic research. As just mentioned earlier, the generative artificial intelligence is a very, very important tool at this moment. And in such a case, but there are several affinities among several factors. For example, the different organ or different disease, the characteristics of the data is themselves affect the prevalence of the models. So such reason, in some cases, very advanced techniques and transform some kind of the generative artificial intelligence is suitable. But in some cases, still traditional, deep learning or machine learning, like the random forest or the CNN, is quite useful. That's it. I think the judgment of this kind of evidence, maybe the characteristics of the data is quite important. How to choose the best models, or additionally the purpose of the our research, the clinical application or basic research, or as a if we is unsupervised learning, in some aspect, the artificial intelligence the abilities are superior to humans. Yeah, which means that we, for example, the histopathological data or logical images, we can't identify the regions, but the artificial intelligence can detect the region. So that's the reason, and the current artificial intelligence abilities are quite high. But this is not and this doesn't mean the artificial intelligence superior to human physicians, just as I mentioned. Robustness is quite important. So that's the reason I think on the basis of the various kind of environment of characteristics of the data, we had to better choose the best models. I think this is my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments? So I'd like to conclude. I'd like to close this session. Thank you again. Applause for Dr. Hamamoto.
Thank you very much, Professor Hamamoto and Professor Tateishi. This concludes today's program for Room 3. Thank you for your participation. A gentle reminder, tonight we will have the members' reception at the Annex Hall from 7 to 9 p.m. This is a welcome reception for all attendees, so please feel free to join. Thank you.